able to fade like that. But I mean, mad props to you guys for doing that, because
Chris does that.
Chris, oh.
How you do it, right? You do one section first.
And yeah, I think that's what has a lot to do with it, is how you started learning how to fade. Because I've always faded. My instructor taught me you start from one end, go all the way around, and then you continue, and that's how you do it from one side to the other side. But you do it all the way through. You don't do sections. Or he didn't say we don't do sections. Just he didn't recommend for me to do sections like that. So for those of you that can fade like that, mad respect for that, because that seems very confusing, and I would be so afraid that this side would be like whoop way up here, this one would be way down here, this would be like all, I don't know, just it would confuse me. Alright, so we're still on the one. That was a one halfway open. So now the next step is going to be a one clip. Sorry, I didn't write it up. So one halfway open. Now I'm going to do a one fully open. So it's just steps by steps. So if you guys have seen me, I mean, I'm sure you guys are getting bored of the way I fade. This is just how I fade with every haircut. It's the exact same way. I really don't change much. Alright, so that's it, the one all the way open. Now we're going to jump into the 1.5, and I seem to have run out of space, so we'll continue on. Sorry guys. So the 1.5 closed is my next step. So make sure you guys get these clips. They don't. I think if you get the wall or the legends now with the school, they do come with a 1.5 guard and a half guard. The legends do. But if you don't have those, I would recommend picking them up. Especially with the walls, they're very, very useful. It's hard to fade and get that nice fade without a half guard and a 1.5 guard.
It's true.
You can probably get away without the 1.5 guard, but you definitely cannot get away with the half guard.
The bolt. Right? Don't get rid of the bolt. With the 1.5.
Yeah. I'm gonna do some clipper roll comb right now. Okay, so there we go. And then we're gonna go into halfway open. Again, you can clip the hair if you want to. I'm more of a guy that I kind of just like to hold the hair back. I know.
To pull it, huh?
Not pull it, just hold the hair back.
Want the true barber?
Alright, so continue on.
You get your hair pulled up.
Okay, now we're gonna go all the way open. So halfway, we're gonna go all the way open. Okay, and then just for the last part of it, I can probably just run a 2 real quick just to get the loose hairs, but we're going to do a lot of clip over comb right now, so that should take care of it. But just the last step I'm going to do is 2 closed. Just to get that last of that bulk down. All right. So that's the fade on the bottom part. How's that look? Not too shabby, right? I mean, it's pretty simple, guys. Like, I like the walls because they're quick, they're fast, they're efficient. If you guys want to feel the walls, they're not even remotely hot yet. They're pretty good. And that's with me giving a demo. Not even like...
It's been 10 minutes.
Alright, what time is it? I'm still got time. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the top part, right? So I took care of my fade. That's usually the easiest thing for me to do as far as if we're going to do a haircut like this. Take care of the fade first, and then we'll jump into the top part of the hair, right? Just because the fade you want to get out of the way. That way you know what you're blending into. You can do the top first, but then you don't really know what you're blending into. But I mean, again, it's up to you guys. Whatever you guys want to do. So let's wet the hair down first. Like I said, he wants to still slick it back. He wants to keep most of the majority of the weight on top, but he wants to blend this down a little bit, right? Just because you can kind of see the fade looks nice, but then you have, if you look at it straight on, like the bulk right here will start to pop out. So we want to get rid of some of that, right? We want to get rid of some of that bulk, knock it down, but also at the same time we want to blend it into the haircut, right? So just so you guys can see as well, I'm sure Mark is showing you, this is what you want to do, right? You want to get rid of this bulk here. And that way, we're going to keep pretty much all of this. We're going to keep. We're just going to help blend the sides here. Okay. I know, man.
I'm looking at him.
See.
So.
All right.
I'm kidding.
But seriously, though. All right.
We're learning together. Yeah,
okay.
No,
so.
You took my hair, man.
Okay. So. But Mark is good, right? Mark is really good. It's a good haircut. It's just, again, we got to get used to. So for my clip over comb style, guys, like I've told you guys before, I've seen some people don't do it. I like to put a 1 guard on my machine, any machine that I use, and do clip over comb with that. The reason is because I had a really bad experience one time. I was literally on the last part of my fade. So I was doing clip over comb, right? We had like a half fade right here. There was like a 2 here. I was blending with no guard. And for some reason I missed it and I went whack. So I did a 0 right here and I'm like, oh, like literally it was my last stroke that I was gonna do and I was gonna be done with the haircut. And so ever since then, it's just been in my head that, like, you know what, I told my instructor about it. He's like, dude, just put a 1 guard on there and at least it'll cut enough and it'll still, you know, you can blend a little bit more. So just from that point forward, I've always just used a 1 guard, right? Again, it's up to you guys if you either use a guard or no use a guard and not use a guard. Completely up to you guys. Just for me, because of my personal experience that I had, I'm like, I'm gonna use a guard, right? It's just a little easier for me. So when blending this stuff, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go with the growth of the hair. So we'll just kind of pull it out and just go with the hair growth. So we're kind of, in essence, layering the hair down. We're not taking too much bulk down.
Should have done it with the scissor, bro.
You can do it too. I'll do this side with scissors, or shears, actually, or the feather razor.
We can all learn how to.
So what I'm doing really is I'm thinning out the hair here.
They're coming to save you, bro.
Okay. Sorry, my cuts are too fire. I'm bringing this damn place down. All right. So what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm just kind of getting the hair, and I'm really pretty much just thinning it out. I'm not even really cutting it. I'm just thinning out the hair. So that's why I'm kind of using just the teeth of the front end here, and I'm going with the hair growth. So you'll notice that I'm not going. If I was to go, what do you think would happen if I was to go like this and go that way? Cut it all off, right? It'll just poof, it'll spike up. So I don't want that. We don't want that to happen. What we're trying to do is trying to get it to blend naturally and nicely. So really what I'm doing is I'm using my clippers, in essence, as a thinning tool. So I'm just going very lightly, just kind of cutting all this down, just so it blends nicely. And here's what I'm noticing too. I'm noticing that whoever his previous barber was, I'm just kidding. But you notice that a little parts here is shorter here in the front end than it is in the back end. So I don't want to touch that. I don't want to touch the length. Because again, where does your length of your hair come from if you're combing it back? From the front, right? Obviously. So that's what people sometimes don't understand. So see, like here, his hair is super long, but it's all coming from the front. So that's why when you're doing like a, for instance, I'm going to mess up your hair. If you're doing a comb over, for instance, this way, it does look good actually with a comb over too. Shoot, I'll give you a comb over right now. So if you do a comb over, for instance, I know a little side note, guys, a little side thing, but if we're doing a comb over and somebody says, okay, well, I want to take some of the length down, where are we going to cut from that point? If they would just want to take some shortness off the top, you're not going to cut here, right? Because this is giving you what? Length. Don't do like what I did when I first started cutting hair. I would grab this whole section here and I would chop this, and then when it would fall over, it would be like right here. So like I had a line here of hair that I chopped from this end. So what I've noticed, or what I do now, you go from this side. You cut here, you cut this all at an angle, and that way this will layer down and it'll be shorter, but you're not losing any length on the top of the hair, right? So just a little side note. But we're not going to do a comb over. We're going to do straight back. Okay. So we're going to keep working on the side corner here. It's almost done. I'm almost where I like it, but a little bit of extra work. Still some work to do. So again, I'm just using the teeth. I'm not even putting the full machine down or the full blade down. I'm just using the teeth to blend in the side here. Same thing with the back here. We can go with the teeth. I'll actually do the scissors back here. I'll do the shears back there because it's easier for me. And then on the side here, same thing. Let me wet the hair down a little bit more. Side little note, guys, wahls are not very good at cutting wet hair. When you're like, so let's say somebody has gel in their hair and you want to cut the hair, but you know they got gel, so you want to put a little bit of water so it's easier to mold and maneuver. It's really hard for a wahl machine to cut through wet hair. They don't do well with wet hair. That's where a fast feed would come in. Even a Masters, I wouldn't do wet hair. But a wahl, for hair like this, I'm not really going to cut into it. I'm just kind of thinning it out. It'll do fine. But just as a side note, guys, if somebody has like long hair like mine for the meantime right now, and then like we wet it all down trying to style it, and there's, you know, my hair right here is all wet, and you try to cut it with the wahl, it's going to stop and it's going to get clogged in there. So be very careful with that. Wahls are not meant to cut wet hair, just as a side note.